Hey, what up everyone, this is Mondo All Day, back with another video. In this video, I'll be doing a build guide for Taskmaster. I'll be going over which artifacts to use, which uniques to use, which medallions, as well as go over the power points, where I placed them, my omegas, and hero synergies. And at the end, show you my rotation, kind of give you some tips and pointers as far as how I was able to pass Cosmic Trial with using this build guide, as well as using around 3,000 omegas. I believe I used 3,200 or so. I'm not too sure exactly, but again, this is just my build guide showing you how I was able to pass Cosmic Trial with this specific build. So let's get right into it. First thing we're going to look at are the artifacts. So the first artifact is Taskmaster's Fighting for Losers Guide. This can be a little difficult to obtain, but it is definitely obtainable. So I'm using this for the damage rating, defense rating, deflect rating, dodge rating, and also for the critical hit rating to range and melee attacks, and also damage to bosses. This is very good for him too. And ironically, it is Taskmaster's own artifact, so it's kind of funny. Then I'm using Crossbone's Teaching Credentials. I'm using this for the critical hit rating, brutal strike rating, damage rating to range powers, melee powers, physical damage rating, and also 2 when you land a critical hit damage. When you land a critical hit, gain a certain amount of brutal damage as well too. So this is very typical, but since this is a melee and range build, I think this would be perfect for it as well too. Similar to Taskmaster's Fighting for Losers, they're the same in the sense that it increases damage to range and melee powers. And then for Medallion, I'm using a Skull Avenger Medallion. I'm using this for the +1 fighting, the attack speed, and the health, and also when hit with the melee power, gain the power of Captain America, which gains me 545 melee damage, and then also 2 when hit with the range power, gain range damage increase, and if both effects are active, I gain +2 fighting. Then I'm using Hulkbuster's physics package. I'm using this for the attack speed, and also when they hit with the melee power, gain brutal damage strike, and then when hit with the range power, gain critical hit rating, and also for the health. As again, this is a hybrid build, meaning this is both melee and range, so this would be perfect for him. And also 2, when both procs are activated, you gain +1 fighting. Then I'm using the Book of Demonicas for the +3 to all attributes, and when you hit with the basic power, you gain 50 damage for 3.5 seconds, and it stacks up to 25 times, so it's doable. And then for the uniques, I'm using all of his uniques here. As you can see here, these are all his uniques. So do keep that in mind. These are all his uniques. And then for the ring, I'm using Bloodstone Demon Band. I gain damage increase to melee powers, +1 fighting, brutal strike rating, and also move speed. And for the costume, grade 1 through 4, critical damage rating as always. And then for core, I have it to where I gain +1 fighting, +1 speed, but also regenerate up to 3,000 health and 100 spirit. I would highly advise getting a core that at least offers you that regeneration of 3,000 health and 100 spirit, because he is very spirit dependent. And also 2, he's a bit weak, but he is strong though with some of his powers, but he is a bit weak in terms of his health, so keep that in mind. And then Insignia, I'm using Insignia Wolverine. When you're critically hit, you and your allies gain 132 damage rating versus weakened targets, and also gets brutal strike rating and brutal damage rating. And this Insignia offers spirit increase as well as critical damage. And then for the pet, I have it to where it's not even maxed out, but I take 3% less damage from enemy area powers, +1 range powers, and then +2 fighting. So it's a decent pet. For the Forge, 200 damage to range powers, and I have it blessed to where I gain increase of damage rating to both melee and range powers, but also I gain health and 2 health and 2 spirit whenever I hit with an enemy. So again, hopefully you're seeing the pattern now that he's very spirit dependent as well too, and he's a bit weak, so you want that health and spirit to go up. So keep that in mind. And for legendary, I'm using Savage Axes for the physical damage rating, critical hit rating, brutal strike, and brutal damage rating. And as you can see there as well too, he is not the legendary is not fully maxed out. So there you go. And then for team up, I am using Deadpool Kid team up. Keep that in mind. Okay, power points. So I got Dismember, 14 there. Rebounding Shield, max that out. Legion Arrow, 10 there. Flawless Emulation, it's a passive, max that out. Perilous Archer, it's a toggle and as well as a passive, so it's a stance, excuse me, so max that out. 1 for rending swings, 20 for shield crush. Fearless Acrobat, it's a toggle and stand, max that out. 1 for relentless, and then signature, max that out. It's pretty simple. So again, I used around 3,000 Omegas, or just over 3,000, as you can see here. So let's get into the build. Okay, 1 for Earth for the base damage increase. 1 for Hollow for the damage rating, brutal strike rating, critical hit rating to physical powers. And 1 for Sakar for the deflect rating and melee damage increase. Special weapons, I got 1 for assault rifle for the base damage range powers, and then 1 for tag rounds for when you hit with range power, gain critical hit rating and critical damage rating. 3 to warpath for the fighting, 1 for frenzy for the when you hit with the melee power, gain critical damage rating. As always, as before, any melee character, I usually use 1 for A-bomb, Harpy, and Lyra. And I want to repeat myself, but 1 for each one. 3 to Spintech for the damage rating to bosses. 4 to Reaver Program for the physical base damage. Base physical damage, excuse me. Then 1 to Deathlock Program for the physical damage rating increase. Psionics for the Melt Face for the brutal damage rating. And then Focus Strength for Groom for the +7 strength. And 1 for Tactical Neuron Implant for the critical damage rating increase and melee critical hit rating increase. And that should be all. Then I'm using, for hero synergies, I got Daredevil for the damage rating versus elite, and then normals and elite, and then melee damage increase. Elektra for the physical damage increase and damage to bosses increase. Hawkeye for the move speed and critical damage. Moon Knight for the critical rating to physical powers. Nightcrawler for the melee damage increase. Rogue for health on hit, and then 1 spirit on hit. And then Scroll Girl for the damage rating to bosses. War Machine for the spirit and +1 fighting. Winter Soldier for the range damage increase, melee damage increase, and then Wolverine for the brutal strike and brutal damage rating. So now we get into the fun stuff here. Regarding how we play with him, he's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. But you do have, I don't want to say a lot of rotations, but you do have to use quite a bit of powers. So before I start into this whole thing, let me just show you how I have it set up here. So I have Rending Swings, Dismember, Legion Arrow, Rebounding Shield, Seize, Shield Crush, Action, the signature. And then I have this Imperialist Archer and then Fearless Acrobat. These are his toggles and stances. I have them activated because you only have 2. I'll go over those in a bit. And then I have Relentless. So let me go into as far as the toggles, okay, which are these right here. Now, I know many people have been stating that Taskmaster is a bit complicating. He's not really complicating, to be honest with you. He's kind of like similar to Rogue in a sense you can choose your own power, so to speak. But you have to keep in mind, Taskmaster he's kind of his own. He's like a hybrid of many other characters. For instance, he has powers from Hawkeye, as well as, to my knowledge, I believe this is from, what's her name? Black Widow. And then obviously has Daredevil and Captain America moves as well too. So by me stating all this, let's go into the toggles first. So each of these toggles, which is Peerless Archer, Fearless Acrobat, Impervious Soldier, and Amazing Web Slinger, each one of them grants you a certain, I guess we say perk, I guess you can say, but increases your damage. And so the reason why I chose Peerless Archer is because not only does it increase attack speed, but also increase the damage rating to range powers, and also brutal strike rating increases as well too. Alright, and also 2, I chose Fearless Acrobat because it does damage reduction, damage rating to melee powers increase, tenacity. That's basically it. Now I could have chosen the Impervious Soldier for the deflect rating and the maximum health and health regeneration. Again, but it could help, but I have the med kit here which grants me a lot, so But if you don't have a core, and again, I'm just explaining to you the toggles right now. That way you can kind of get an understanding of what to choose. But if you had a core that did not have it to where you regenerate up to 3,000 health and 100 spirit, your best bet is choosing Impervious Soldier, because it increases your health and health regeneration. And then Amazing Web Slinger, what it does, increases the base damage by 5% when you dodge or use a movement power. Your dodge rating is increased, as well as your maximum spirit. Okay. Now the reason why I'm explaining these toggles is just that first you want to do is you really understand which powers you want to utilize, and from there you want to choose which toggles. So for instance, for me, I chose these two because I am doing a hybrid build, meaning I am using both melee and range. So hence why I chose these two, because not only do these two toggles have other perks such as attack speed increase and damage reduction, but mainly it's because it increases my damage to melee powers and range powers. And as I stated, that I do have a hybrid build, so my main focus was more offense to my range and melee powers. Now, if let's just say I decided to do an all melee powers, right? Then I would obviously not use Peerless Archer. I would use Fearless Acrobat, and then since it's going to be all melee, I would use Impervious Soldier. That way I get the maximum health and health regeneration per second increase as much as possible. That way, when I'm doing melee in close combat, not only do I have a large health increase, but also health regeneration is increased as well too. Okay, and vice versa. If I was just choosing on range, I would use Peerless Archer, and then possibly either Amazing Web Slinger, or you can even use Impervious Soldier. But again, these are the toggles, so it really comes down to how you want to play with them. So my advice before you start leveling them up is just try them out, see what powers you like, and if you want to do range or melee, and then from there you can it'll help you understand which toggles you want to use. Because if you go based on the toggles first, which I originally did, it's a bit confusing and it can be a little intimidating. So my advice would be start with which powers you enjoy playing with, which style of gameplay you like doing in terms of either range or melee, and from there it can help you decide which toggles to choose. And again, if you're going to do like a melee, obviously you want to use Fearless for the melee powers increase damage, and then possibly Impervious and so forth. Okay, so again, I would just explain to you in terms of the toggles / stance, because I know that's one of the main things that people are intimidated by. But once you kind of understand that, how it should work, then you can kind of figure out which toggles you want to use. But again, my advice is first pick the powers you want to use, and from there choose your toggles after. Because once you choose your powers, for sure one of them is going to be one of these two. So if you choose range, obviously Peerless Archer is going to be your main one. One of the two toggles or stances, and the second one, it all depends on again how your build is in terms of which artifacts you're using and so forth. So I know it's kind of a long explanation of the toggles, but again, I rather kind of get that out the way and explain that, because that's the most not the complicating thing, but many people get confused or a bit intimidated when they see that. So hopefully it makes sense by now. But yeah, let's continue with it. So I have the toggles here; they're activated. And then I have Relentless here. This is my crowd control immunity. Just get this out the way. You activate this whenever you can. Whenever it's available, activate it. Alright, so now let's get into the rotation and power points and powers and all that stuff, and how I managed to pass Cosmic Trial with not even a maxed out legendary and maxed out, not even maxed out pet. So it's pretty simple. Again, just get the first power out the way. The basic, which is Rending Swings, use this whenever you're low on spirit, because not only is it a basic, but also it restores 4 spirit on a hit. So again, it's perfect if you're low on spirit. Just use Rending Swings, perfect for you. All right. So the first rotation is pretty simple. One of the first things I usually do is this. I usually activate Rebounding Shield first. Okay, this is a range attack, and I use this because not only does it do a lot of, I don't want to say area damage, but it does damage to, it rebounds the shield to many of the other enemies, but also it causes bleed. Okay, and I'm bringing this up because usually what I do is And again, this is my first rotation, is activate Rebounding Shield. That way I can cause that bleed shortly after. Choose a single target and use Seize. Okay, and from there use Shield Crush. Okay. Now I use Shield Crush. The reason why I use Shield Crush is because Shield Crush, and again, this is my first rotation. Shield Crush don't nowadays do a lot of damage, but if an enemy is bleeding, it does 50% more damage to bleeding enemies. And as I stated, Rebound Shield, it does bleed as well too. So put that together. When you activate Rebound Shield, not only do you cause bleed, but when you activate Shield Crush, you're doing not only a lot of damage, but your damage is increased by 50% because you're hitting a bleeding enemy. So again, I'm going to show you what it looks like. So again, first things first is Rebounding Shield, and then pick a target, Seize, and then Shield Crush. That way I get that extra 50% damage because of against bleeding enemies. So let's get into it. Just like that. Okay, so let's just show you again, but this time let's change the scenario. So let's say you're doing Cosmic Trial or whatever, and you see the enemy here, and these are the enemies, right? And let's say this is Red Skull, and you have other enemies here. Again, ideally you want to choose the single target you want to go for. Let's say this is Red Skull, so choose Red Skull and then activate Rebounding, Seize, and then Shield. Boom, and that 1.5 million hit. And look at the bleeding, see? Okay, that's my, I guess you could say my first rotation per se. Alright, my second rotation, or usually what I do after that, is do the same thing, do the same exact thing, which is Rebound, Seize, and Shield, but start using Dismember. You want to use Dismember because what this Dismember does is not only does it do a lot of damage, but also damage is increased by 40% per consecutive strike. So your damage is increasing. It's kind of stacking. Show you. See that? And it just keeps stacking. So one of the first things that I usually do is sorry, it's my little group there, is, and again, do my first rotation, Rebound, Seize, and Shield Crush. And then once I do Shield Crush, the good thing about Shield Crush is it jumps into the enemy, or kind of hops, and then once you're close to the enemy, just start activating Dismember. Okay, so it looks something like this. So this same scenario over here, I'm gonna pretend this is a Red Skull. Again, Rebound, Seize, Shield, and then just Dismember. And if it's available, first rotation. Boom, just like that. So basically, my first rotation is simple. It's Rebounding, Seize, and then Shield Crush. And then after that, just activate Dismember, and then just keep at it. And then once the first rotation powers are available, then activate it again. Rebounding, Shield, or Rebounding, Seize, Shield, and then again Dismember. Okay, hopefully it makes sense. Pretty simple so far. Now, why I chose to choose Rebounding Shield, Legion Arrow. Sorry, it's Legion Arrow. Is that this does pretty good amount of damage. Not only does it do a lot of damage by itself, but also too, it deals 40% more damage to elite and boss enemies. So, my advice for this power is this: if let's just say, this is what I do, especially I did this for Cosmic Trial. If let's just say I use my first rotation, right, which is Rebounding, Seize, Shield, and then Dismember, and let's say the enemy or Red Skull does a lot of damage, like let's say he hit me like that and drains up a lot of my health, what I usually do is kind of step away and just activate Legion Arrow. That way, not only does it do a lot of damage, but it also deals 40% more damage to elite and bosses. See what I mean? That's the only time I use a Legion Arrow. So that way I can regenerate health. So if let's just say I'm playing and I use my health kit and I'm low on health because I got hit and I don't have much health, just stay away and just use Legion Arrow. Because not only is it going to regenerate, it's going to regenerate health by itself, but also, according to the hero synergy for Rogue, health on any hit. So again, and also too, for his blessing for his forge, gain two health when you hit an enemy. So put 2 to 2 together, that's about 3 health per hit, and then plus the health regeneration that he has. Hence why I choose this power. So again, so I only activate this power when I'm low on health and I already used my medkit. So I just usually do is kind of go from a far distance, so something like this, and just use that specific power. That way we regenerate health, but at the same time I gain some spirit, but also do quite a bit of damage. See what I mean? So again, I use this power just so that if I'm doing my melee, my rotations and my melee, and then I'm low on health, and I'm low on health, and I use my medikit, and then you still need to do damage, especially in Cosmic Trial, but I don't want to be close because I'm gonna die. Just step away and use. But make sure you're on target though, because very similar to Hawkeye. He's with Hawkeye's powers, they're a single target, and so you have to be a bit precise. They do a lot of damage, but you have to be precise. So if you miss it, then you miss it. Come on, hit it. There you go. So make sure you're actually on the target. See that? All right. So just to go over the first rotation, simple rebounding, seize, shield, and then shortly after, activate Dismember. And once the first rotation powers are available to reactivate, activate it again, which is rebounding, seize, shield, and then Dismember. If let's say you use a medkit or you're low on health, just step away and just use Legion Arrow. Legion Arrow. That way you can still do quite a bit of damage, and you can regenerate some health. Meanwhile, you're from a far distance, and you're still doing damage from a distance, but you're also regenerating health. Okay, now this is the cool part. I like his signature. His signature is a buff, so I'll read it to you what it does. So this signature grants you attack speed by 50%. This stacks to I can't even pronounce it, but multiplies with normal attack speed. Bonuses: damage rating is increased, critical and brutal strike rating is increased, critical and brutal damage is increased, defense and tenacity is increased, move speed is increased, and you restore a certain amount of spirit per second, and +5 ranks to all powers, and +1 to all attributes. So, and this duration lasts about 12 seconds. So it's pretty strong signature. Again, it's pretty strong, as you can tell. And so my advice is, hence why you want to max this out as much as you can, but it's above. So hence why I chose these powers, is because these powers, especially Seize and Shield Crush, they do a lot of quite damage, and so combined with the signature, it's going to do quite a bit of damage. Hence why I chose these powers. I know many people use other powers. Some people will say the Cyclone Club is a good one, and it is, or prefer to use this, or some have actually said that, where's this power? I can't, it's another power. I think it's webcam, I can't remember, but anyways, so I choose these powers, that way I can utilize them. They do have a cooldown, they do quite a bit of damage, and combined with the signature buff, it's going to do a lot of damage. So, how do you incorporate the signature with my rotation? It's pretty simple, to be honest with you. It's just activating the signature and do the first rotation, which is rebounding, seize, shield, and Dismember. And the great thing about the signature is that it gains, not only does it do +5 ranks to all powers, but also you gain, you do increase your defense, your defense and tenacity by quite a bit. So it does help out a lot. But my advice is to activate the signature first before you do the rotation, because if you do the rotation after you do the signature, then you have to wait about 3 to 4 seconds, and then the buff duration is 12 seconds, so you're just kind of wasting time. So my advice is activate signature first. Once it's activated, then utilize the rotation. That way when you use a rotation, you get the full effect of that buff. You take advantage of the whole entire duration as much as you can. So this is what it shows. So I'm gonna do the signature, and then I'm gonna do my rotations like normal, and then yeah. So you see what I mean. It's pretty simple. So here we go. just like that. Just like that. And yeah, that's really it. That's my build guide for Taskmasters. Pretty simple build, pretty kind of straightforward. It is a bit of a hybrid. Don't be intimidated by his toggles and stances. I hope I was able to explain it in detail and it made sense in terms of which one to use. Again, for the toggles slash stances, my advice is ignore those, make those not last, but make those second choice. The first choice is figure out which powers you want to use, and which powers do you enjoy most, either range or melee or hybrid, and based upon your decision, it'll help you choose which toggles to use. As mentioned, if you're going to do melee build, then obviously you want to choose Fearless Acrobat for the melee power increase damage, and possibly even Impervious Soldier for the max health, health regeneration. But again, it really all depends. So my advice would be is start with your powers, figure out which powers you enjoy the most, and from there do toggles and stances. And then after that, obviously, do the rotation, rebounding, seize, shield. Make sure you do shield after rebounding. That way, when you cause bleed, when you activate shield crush, you do 50% extra damage. And then dismember does 40% extra damage, consecutive strike. And then if you're low on health, just use Legion Arrow. And if you're low on Spirit, just get close and use Rending Swings. And obviously, activate Relentless whenever it's available. Make sure you turn on your toggles. And yeah, that's really it. And then obviously, Signature, I explained that. Use your rotation. Use Signature first, then rotation. That way you can utilize the buff duration as much as you can. And yeah, this is my build guide for Taskmaster. Again, it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Once again, I use around 3,000 Omegas. He is pretty strong. I mean, I was able to pass Cosmic Trial with using 3,000 Omegas, not even a maxed out Legendary and maxed out Pet. So he's definitely doable. So if you have more than 3,000 Omegas and you have a maxed out Legendary, I'm pretty sure you can pass Cosmic Trial. So hopefully this guide was helpful for you guys. Again, Taskmaster not that intimidating once you understand him and understand some of his powers and how they work, especially his toggles and stances. He's not that bad. So yeah, this is my build guide. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comment section below. If you have any requests for certain characters, leave it in the comment section below. If you want to see more videos of mine, or if you want to keep up to date, please do subscribe to my channel. Not only does it mean a lot to me, but also it does help out the channel a lot. And yeah, this is my build guide for Taskmaster. And again, any questions, leave it in the comment section below. Alrighty, on to the next one.